09:17 am Copenhagen time. Danish government announces establishment of exclusive economic zone around Greenland, extending 200 nautical miles from territorial baseline. Geological surveys confirm subsea oil and rare earth deposits valued at $1 trillion. The declaration includes Arctic seabed areas previously subject to competing claims from Russia, Canada, and Norway. Legal justification cites United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea and extended continental shelf claims. International reaction begins immediately. Russia rejects Danish jurisdiction. China announces support for freedom of navigation. United States maintains cautious neutrality, balancing NATO alliance commitment with Arctic's governance principles. This is Global Conflict Room, where global war decisions are made. 11:44 a.m. Moscow time. Russian Foreign Ministry issues formal protest. Statement characterizes Danish claim as violation of international law and Russian sovereign interests. Arctic regions described as vital national security zone. Warning delivered against unilateral actions threatening regional stability. Military implications remain unstated, but clearly implied. Northern Fleet receives alert notification. Strategic bomber patrols increase over Arctic approaches. The Russian response follows established pattern of contesting Western presence in regions Moscow considers within sphere of influence. Denmark anticipated opposition, but calculated NATO membership provides security guarantee against Russian military intimidation. 14:22 p.m. Beijing time. Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs releases statement supporting freedom of navigation and scientific research in Arctic waters. Announcement made of expanded polar research program, including 12 vessels deploying to disputed zone. Fleet composition includes 2 icebreakers, 4 research vessels, 3 supply ships, and 3 vessels categorized as security escorts. International observers note security escorts appear to be lightly armed naval vessels disguised as civilian research support. Departure scheduled within 72 hours. China maintains no territorial claims in Arctic, but asserts rights under international law to access and resource development in international waters. The position reflects broader Chinese strategy of challenging established maritime governance through civilian-military dual-use operations. What should command do first? A. Intercept. B. Strike back. C. Hold fire. The decision framework proves inadequate for resource competition below threshold of armed conflict. Intercepting Chinese research fleet risks international condemnation and precedent, allowing similar actions against Chinese vessels elsewhere. Striking back makes no sense, absent direct attack. Holding fire allows Chinese presence to establish facts on ground, creating long-term strategic disadvantage. Denmark faces challenge of defending economic interests without military escalation, while managing NATO alliance dynamics, where members hold competing Arctic interests. Global Conflict Room analysts assess the situation as deliberately manufactured crisis testing, Western alliance cohesion, and Danish resolve. 16:50 p.m. Danish Maritime Authority emergency session. Defense Minister presents assessment of Chinese fleet capabilities and timeline. Arrival in disputed zone projected at 9 days, assuming direct routing. Danish Navy operates 4 frigates and several patrol vessels optimized for Baltic operations rather than Arctic conditions. Greenland Command maintains limited military presence focused on sovereignty patrol and search rescue. NATO reinforcement possible, but requires political consensus among members with divergent Arctic interests. Canada sympathetic, but focused on own northern territories. Norway maintains delicate balance with Russia. United States capable of decisive intervention, but weighing broader strategic calculations. France and United Kingdom express support, but offer minimal concrete assistance. The alliance structure designed for European territorial defense proves less effective for distant resource competition. What happens next determines the next decade. 18:33 p.m. Russian Northern Fleet activity. Intelligence satellites detect unusual movement. Nuclear-powered icebreaker Arktika departs Murmansk, accompanied by 2 Yasen-class submarines and surface escort group. Fleet track projects towards same Arctic zone, claimed by Denmark. Russian media describes mission as routine scientific research and freedom of navigation exercise. Military analysts assess operation as coordinated with Chinese deployment to present united front against Danish claims. The Sino-Russian Arctic cooperation represents strategic alignment, where both nations benefit from challenging Western maritime dominance. Denmark faces simultaneous pressure from 2 major powers with minimal direct military capability to contest their presence. NATO invocation becomes increasingly likely, but alliance response uncertain. 22:15 p.m. Brussels emergency session. North Atlantic Council convenes to address Danish request for consultation under NATO Treaty Article 4. Denmark argues economic zone around Greenland falls within treaty area requiring alliance support. Legal advisors debate whether resource competition constitutes security threat, triggering collective defense obligations. United States representative notes Article 5 applies to armed attacks, not economic disputes. Danish foreign minister emphasizes Russian and Chinese military vessels entering claimed waters represents security challenge, regardless of stated civilian purpose. Poland and Baltic states support strong NATO response to Russian Arctic expansion. Germany and France advocate diplomatic resolution. Turkey questions NATO involvement in distant Arctic matters. The consultation reveals alliance divisions where economic interests and threat perceptions diverge. Necessary deterrence or dangerous escalation. The question assumes new dimensions in Arctic resource competition. Region contains 30% of undiscovered global gas reserves and 13% of oil. Climate change makes resources increasingly accessible while simultaneously increasing strategic importance of northern sea routes. Multiple nations maintain overlapping claims based on continental shelf extensions and historical presence. International law provides incomplete framework for resolving disputes. Military force remains option of last resort, but presence operations and implied threats shape negotiating positions. Denmark attempts to establish facts through legal declaration, backed by NATO security guarantee. Russia and China challenge Danish position through maritime presence, demonstrating willingness to contest control. The competition occurs in gray zone, where neither war nor peace adequately describes the strategic environment. Day 2. Chinese fleet transit. Vessels pass through Norwegian Sea, maintaining international water routing. Norwegian Coast Guard monitors passage without interference. Chinese diplomatic communications emphasize peaceful scientific research mission studying climate change impacts and marine biodiversity. Technical equipment visible on deck includes seismic survey gear suitable for subsea mapping. Intelligence assessment confirms dual-use capability, where research equipment provides data applicable to resource extraction and military operations. Chinese presence in Arctic waters increases annually with each deployment, establishing precedent for expanded activity. European nations face dilemma of respecting freedom of navigation while preventing strategic encroachment. Day 3. Danish naval deployment. HDMS Niels Juel frigate departs for Greenland waters, accompanied by patrol vessels and support ships. Transit time estimated at 12 days. Danish government announces enhanced surveillance of Arctic approaches and commitment to defend economic interests. Military spokesman emphasizes defensive posture, while noting authority to enforce Danish jurisdiction in territorial waters and exclusive economic zone. International legal experts debate enforcement mechanisms where physical confrontation with major power vessels creates unacceptable escalation risk. Denmark possesses legal authority, but limited practical ability to compel compliance from Russian or Chinese forces unwilling to recognize Danish claims. Which system activates first in a missile alert? A. Radar. B. Satellites. C. Command link. Arctic maritime security requires different architecture than traditional military early warning. Space-based surveillance tracks vessel movements. Long-range maritime patrol aircraft conduct reconnaissance. Undersea sensors detect submarine activity. Surface radar coverage remains limited due to harsh environment and vast distances. The surveillance challenge reflects broader Arctic security dilemma, where geography favors stealth and surprise, while defensive infrastructure proves expensive and incomplete. Denmark relies heavily on NATO intelligence sharing and American satellite capabilities. Indigenous surveillance capacity insufficient for comprehensive domain awareness in claimed economic zone. Day 5. Russian fleet arrival. Northern fleet vessels reach disputed waters and begin operations characterized as oceanographic research. Submarine activity detected near potential drilling sites. Surface vessels conduct systematic survey patterns. International maritime law permits such activities in areas beyond 12 nautical mile territorial sea, even within exclusive economic zones. Danish officials protest Russian presence while acknowledging limited legal grounds for expulsion, absent clear military threat. Russian commanders maintain professional communications with Danish Maritime Authority, reporting positions and intentions as required by safety regulations. The carefully managed operations stay within legal boundaries while demonstrating Russian capability and determination to contest Danish resource claims. If you follow global conflict analysis, type GCR. Day 6. Chinese research fleet enters zone. 12 vessels establish positions across disputed area. Icebreakers begin creating channels for research ships. Security escorts maintain protective formation. Communications transmitted to all vessels, warning of Chinese scientific operations and requesting safe distance. Danish patrol craft monitor, but do not interfere. Radio exchanges remain professional despite underlying tensions. Chinese operation unfolds with precision, suggesting extensive planning and rehearsal. Equipment deployment indicates long-term presence intention rather than brief survey mission. Danish Defense Minister conducts secure video conference with NATO counterparts, requesting alliance support. Response remains cautious with emphasis on diplomatic channels and avoiding military confrontation. Day 8. NATO surveillance mission. United States P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft conducts reconnaissance over disputed zone. Flight remains in international airspace while gathering electronic intelligence on Russian and Chinese operations. Photographic evidence documents vessel positions and equipment deployment. Intelligence shared with NATO members and Denmark. The surveillance demonstrates American interest and capability without direct intervention. Russian fighters scramble to monitor American aircraft but maintain safe distance. Chinese vessels continue operations without acknowledging surveillance. The three-way dynamic establishes pattern where each party demonstrates presence and capability while avoiding actions triggering direct confrontation. Day 10. Standoff assessment. Danish, Russian, and Chinese vessels operate in proximity within disputed economic zone. No hostile actions occur, but tension remains elevated. Each nation claims legal authority for presence. Denmark asserts sovereign jurisdiction over exclusive economic zone. Russia maintains traditional Arctic interests and freedom of navigation. China emphasizes international law rights to peaceful research. Diplomatic negotiations begin through back channels, exploring compromise, allowing shared resource development or agreed maritime boundaries. Military presence continues as leverage for negotiations. Economic analysis shows resource value justifies sustained diplomatic effort while avoiding war costs. Day 14, incident occurs. Danish patrol vessel approaches Chinese research ship requesting compliance with environmental regulations in economic zone. Chinese vessel refuses stating operations in international waters outside Danish authority. Danish captain notifies vessel of violation and threatens enforcement action. Chinese security escort moves to protective position. Russian icebreaker alters course toward interaction zone. Tension spikes as three navies maneuver in close proximity. Each captain operates under strict rules of engagement, prohibiting first hostile action. Professional seamanship prevents collision, but incident demonstrates escalation risk. Diplomatic protests filed by all parties. NATO consultations resume with increased urgency. Day 16, de-escalation begins. Behind-the-scenes negotiations produce framework agreement. Denmark maintains sovereignty claim while accepting temporary moratorium on enforcement pending International Court of Justice arbitration. Russia and China agree to notify Denmark of research activities while not acknowledging Danish jurisdiction. All parties commit to professional maritime conduct and safety protocols. The compromise allows each nation to maintain legal position while reducing confrontation risk. Resource development postponed during arbitration period, potentially lasting years. Military forces remain deployed in reduced numbers. The crisis transitions from acute confrontation to managed competition. What decision would you make in that room? Was Danish unilateral declaration worth risking NATO alliance cohesion and great power confrontation? Should Russia and China accept Western resource claims in Arctic or maintain competing presence? How should international community balance sovereign rights against freedom of navigation in increasingly contested polar regions? Who determines legitimate claims in areas where geography, history, and law provide ambiguous answers? The Arctic incident scenario demonstrates resource competition in warming polar region, where climate change enables access to previously unreachable wealth. Multiple nations maintain overlapping claims. International law provides incomplete resolution framework. Military presence serves as leverage for diplomatic negotiations. Alliance commitments face stress when member economic interests diverge. The scenario reveals modern great power competition, extending to remote regions, where resource value justifies sustained engagement, and where traditional security frameworks prove inadequate for managing competition below threshold of armed conflict, yet above routine diplomatic disagreement. Subscribe to Global Conflict Room, inside the room where history changes.